Welcome to Pathworking the Tree of Life with the Alchemical Cabala. This week, we enter the 21st path of Kaph from the Book of Formation. The 21st path is the path of the intelligence of conciliation and reward, and is so called because it receives the divine influence which flows into it from its benediction upon all and each existence. Everyone, please center comfortably in your chair and take some deep breaths. Deep abdominal breaths and center in your core. Please focus your visual awareness on the very center of the imagery that you see before you. With eyes open, breathe in deeply, relaxed, and focused on the center of the image with the letter Kaph. Continue deep abdominal breaths, pushing your abdomen out more fully with each deep inhalation. Feel the center of where your abdomen pushes out. And exhaling, let go of all that is ready to go. Yourself knows what is ready to go. Just trust and allow yourself to let it go. With deep, relaxed breathing, keeping your focus in the very center, with your vision staring in the center of the image before you. Breathe the image in and out, in and out, relaxed and deeply. Now close your eyes and allow the afterimage of the letter Kaph to float gently in your awareness and your retinal field. With each in-breath and out-breath, relax deeply. You notice that you are immersed in the deepest purple light and presence. Feel the purple light expanding out from your center in each direction with every inhalation and every exhalation. This purple light permeates all within your awareness and in all perceived space. Before you now, you see a glimmer of golden light. And you see now this shimmering golden light appears as a handle in the shape of the letter Kaph. It seems to float freely in the purple light and space just before you. You move towards this golden image of the letter Kaph, and you reach forward with your strong hand and grasp this golden letter. As you hold this golden letter Kaph, you do not move. Breathe deeply. Allow yourself to feel the presence of this letter, the letter Kaph, within your grasping hand. Feel its warmth, its radiance and light and wisdom permeate you. Taking deep breaths, firmly grasping the letter Kaph, you take one large step back. As you do, a brilliant blue and golden light fills the space you are in. You notice now you're in a room, and you see that this light is pouring through a purple doorway that has been opened by your holding the golden letter Kaph as you stepped backwards. Take a deep breath. With ease and courage, you step forwards through the door into what you can only perceive as infinite light. There is only light here. And you take a few steps into this endless light. As you do, the door closes behind you. All you can see is light. This light is so bright, you can only perceive now in your knowing. And in your knowing, you perceive a glowing orange circle before you, and what appears to be, or seems to be, the ground of light that you walk on. You take 4 steps forward. You find you are standing in the very center of this brilliant orange circle of light beneath you. You look above you, and brilliant blue light descends into and through you. You look below you, and brilliant emerald green light ascends into and through you. Above and below, blue, purple, gold light flows in spirals within spirals through your whole being in what seems to be endless directions. You hear now a resounding, high vibration and tone, fills all space and awareness. An announcement is made, and a presence unspeakable enfolds you now in peace and light. You open yourself in complete trust, and as you trust, you perceive now you are an honored guest here. Gifts are brought to you from beings from each of the 4 directions. Gifts are brought to you from your right. Gifts are brought now before you. Gifts are brought at your left. And gifts are brought from behind. You open your heart and hands and receive them all. Centered and relaxed. Look down now into the center of your being. Allow yourself to see what is presented to you. The first thing you see and perceive within. Accept this gift with humility and gratitude. You give thanks to the holy presence and beings that have come to aid you in your work. Take a few moments in communion with the Great Presence. In awe and deep respect, you give thanks to the presence and beings for this blessed experience. You step backwards through the doorway, and the door closes before you. You find yourself back in the room filled with purple light. Immersed in this perfect peace, you see the most pure purple light. And taking relaxed, deep breaths, feel the weight of your physical body within your chair and the center of your being. What has been given you is for you and will reveal itself more and more to you. The gifts of the divine are always perfect and always in perfect timing. When you're ready, please open your eyes, relaxed, and anyone who wishes to share your experience, please one at a time do so now. And anyone who wishes to keep your experience to yourself, please do so now.
Well, I won't share it, but I definitely did have an experience.
Okay, perfect.
And
Thank you.
that's not the first time with some of your meditations, so thank you.
No, thank you.
I thought it was excellent. I'll share that. It was super, super enjoyable.
Thank you. Thank you for your participation. Does anyone else have anything they would like to share before we move forwards?
I don't know what the gift was. More will be revealed.
Yes. Okay.
Well, I
Yeah.
know what the gift is for me. This whole thing. This is like unbelievable, crazy timing. Like, I mean, I won't go into it, but it's just this. You know how it is. The world's
Yes.
magical. It's like,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great way to look at it.
Wonderful. Anyone else?
and you mentioned timing as well, right?
Yes. Yes. Easy. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing very
Good.
good. Just really yeah, just enjoying it all.
All right. Great.
Mhm.
Okay. And if anything comes to anyone, just step forward and share as you will, okay? Yes. So let's move forwards and please, one at a time, unmute yourselves and simply share what comes to you in our reading for this week's key or our path Kaph, the 21st path. Wheel of Fortune.
You had mentioned, I think, in the meditation about the spiral effect of learning and going around and around, and that's what I got.
Yes. Great.
That we don't repeat anything. We're always learning more.
Yes. Yes. Our spirals they're spirals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we see patterns repeat, but we're always at a different or higher art.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting connection between this key and key 21, which are both the spirals in her hands,
Oh
and
yeah.
uh, and also they're similar in design, but yeah, the whole spiral. During the meditation, I had a clear, a real like experience of the toroidal field, So that was kind of interesting, and that goes with spirals and
Yes. Excellent.
whatnot, and the whole energy.
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah, I was just gonna jump in real quick. Something about this makes me think of the two. Um, the first two on the pattern of the trestle board, right? That all the power that ever was or will be is here now, and then along with that, what I'm the center of expression of primal will to good, which eternally creates and sustains the universe. And
Yes.
so, yeah, just those, and it's just looking at this and just kind of seeing this card along with the meditation and those statements just kind of all seem to, I don't know, just kind of seem to come together, if you will, in a
Oh
certain way.
yeah.
Just looking,
Right.
because as you were saying, like in the center of the gifts come from the right and in front of you, to
Yep.
the side and behind you, and all the things there. But then that goes in the whole. I mean, my stuff goes into like the alignment, to that, so that that is ever present, and where you can take it from there. So
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you.
Well, I had a hard time coloring in the clouds on the world key, so the wheel will be similar and different.
Okay. All right. There's a lot going on in this key, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I would say epigenesis would be like the theme for this card.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, go kind of lifetime after lifetime, coming in, going out, discernment, action, involution, evolution. It's just like what you
Right.
learn, what you get, what you're born as,
Yeah.
and what you can learn from, and the clarity of the blue sky cutting through
Mm,
the clouds.
right.
Mm.
a quick question regarding the center symbol for, is that to be orange? Is that correct? Or is that like a gold? Or
Yes.
what's the
Yes, it's
color?
orange. It's
Orange?
orange. Yes. It's a
Okay.
solar
Got it.
orange, but yes.
Okay. So is that related to like more of a Tifrith, or is that more of a, because Tifrith is more of a gold, right?
That's true. Tiferet
Right.
is gold, and orange is Mercury or
Mm-hmm.
Hode,
Mm-hmm.
and orange and gold are the colors of the sun.
Right.
Of course, in our actual, uh, our solar body, we all live within and are, Mercury is the closest orb to the sun.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
I see the card where everything is resting on the blue color. Even
Mm.
the Sphinx at the top is calm and resting. It's holding the sword, but it's not waving it at this point, but it's available for discernment. But the clouds and everything, and of course the blue is memory and mind.
Yes.
But everything appears to be at rest. And what Teresa brought up, the movement occurs, epigenesis, grace occurs, but it all turns. And it's a very peaceful, though very full picture. You have the eagle a little ferocious with energy, and yet all of it has a place and moves into manifestation and out of manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
Quietly, calmly. We create a lot of tra-la-la, but this is, there's a sense of peace from this that I had not really noticed before. This is, you know, when you come out of the cube of space and you arrive through this card, it's your identity for a brief time in your many lives. But there's the blue behind it all, the mind.
Yes. Right.
With the Fool, you have the sun behind, and it's very active. He's off to an adventure. This appears to be the parts of that adventure, that which you will go through. But there's always recourse to that center of peace. With discernment.
Yes. I find it interesting that the sword, that the Sphinx has the sword, the handle at the heart, the solar plexus, and the sword's resting on the left shoulder, which we know is Hesed, right? Sphere of memory and mercy. But it's at the ready if needed.
Mercy is allocated when you remember you walk away from judgment. You use discernment, but you put judgment to rest. It's what helps you grow. The little trivial things are no longer important. The little criticisms throughout your day. This is the big picture.
Margot, I was going to add that the card kind of tells us we can't stay the same. Like we're always changing, and we always need to change, and we should want to change.
Yeah.
It's inviting. I want to play the game. I want to put my hand on that wheel and spin it. It seems like you're supposed to be dialing it in here, like Mercury being a kind of top oriented in there, in that center wheel there.
Right.
I think it's kind of interesting to look at what's pointing where. Like I know we've mentioned the serpent sort of being the involution and the red dude that looks like he's from Dr. Seuss.
The Anubis. Yes.
Yes, that guy. And then looking at the bull or cow,
right?
I guess that's a bull. Looking at the lion. Lion's looking at us. Eagle's looking over at the other dude up top there. But we're looking at where energy is moving, where attention is going, and since this seems very intentional, like because it's a dial, you're supposed to orient yourself according to a certain way, which would be non-polarized, or say centered, not too far to the right, not too far to the left. And I think the number of the key kind of lends to that too, being sort of an acknowledgement of both the masculine and feminine, the 1 and the 0. And when you look at that middle wheel, it almost looks like an XYZ. Like if you were to think of it as a sphere, it's not really like a 2D thing going on there. I don't know. It's
curious, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of just throwing me for a loop when I looked at it.
Right.
But I think the takeaway for me is that there's a way that this is being oriented to align with a greater source, especially having that. Is that symbol for Jupiter down there? It is, eh?
Yes, this key is the key of Jupiter, and yes, that is its symbol, astrological, in the bottom right corner. Good pick.
Okay. That's it for me.
Great. So I just want to say what came to mind when you were talking, Jesse. So in the key, the center of the wheel is the most inward, right? And the periphery of the wheel is the most outward. And the famous saying from, I think, Carl Jung is like, one who looks without dreams, the one who looks within awakens. So in a most practical use of this key with your core practice this week, spend some time really placing your one-pointed attention in the very, very center of the wheel. That's a very practical use for this key that will assist you.
I just want to say that, whenever I think of the wheel, I think of like a hamster running around, and can't escape. And what you just said now about going to the center, if that hamster would just do something different,
right.
Maybe there would be a different result. But
right.
it's just running and running, and what Margot said about reaching for something different. It's I think sometimes we get into these habitual kind of thought patterns, and they're just the same thought patterns that just keep going and going in the mind. And if we can just reach for something different, just wholesome, it would move the wheel in a different way, like just think of that hamster. So, and I mean, there's so many, I don't want to be judgmental, but there are, I see a lot of people that repeat the same patterns, and they're not, maybe it's my mirror, I don't know. But
well, that's the mass mind of the world, is it not?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's difficult. Well, not it's difficult, but I mean, it's like you were saying when you were talking about that meditation and having an experience, it's like going into that bright light, that, you know, that gold light is to me going to that higher thought. You know, it's escaping all that other stuff and going to something different, to a different plateau in the mind. You know, this is all mind, so it's like going to that higher place, you know, like what Margot was saying, without the judgments, and reach for something different. And I feel like that's sort of like what I feel with this card, instead of just continuing the same thought patterns over and over. So that's just what I wanted to say, I guess.
Thank you, Christina. You always have the most excellent sharing on these keys. Thank you.
I liked what Jesse said about seeing it three-dimensional, the center, seeing it three-dimensional. And then when Eli, you said to look right at the center, and the whole thing pops out into a ball when you do that. And it can turn within the outer rim.
Yes.
But it's three-dimensional. It's like
right.
the books are going like this, not in a two-dimensional space.
It feels like a gyroscope to me.
Yeah, just kind of squint at it, and the whole thing changes. And I never thought of looking at it as, you know, three-dimensional, but it does. It's almost like the center that it just kind of spins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Within the tarot, the Taro, and the 4 signs.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of implies that the tarot is cross dimensions, because it finds itself on all those, you know, like, it works in 2D and 3D. So
right.
It implies the tarot, this yeah, well, yeah, probably to infinity and beyond. But there's something, yeah, it's probably beyond like figuring out.
Yes.
Right, Eli?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
It's beyond our intellect, but it's within our grasp of comprehension. Right?
Yeah. If you
Like
just
the
let it
teaching
be,
is
then
that the Kabbalah itself is what cannot be taught but can be received.
And knowing something and not being able to explain it, but you know it works.
But you know it. Exactly.
That's the placing of ourselves into experiences, is we generate that knowing by entering into the experiences of being here and asking to have that happen. And then when you make yourself receptive, then it just goes through you.
the man at the top left, what was his deal again?
What's his deal? It's Aquarius.
Okay. He looks like he's awfully suspicious. Now, is this guy, is he some kind of important dude? Like, is he trying to direct the show, or what's going on with this guy? Because the eagle seems to be paying attention to him.
Okay, so let's talk about the animals then for a second. All right, so traditionally the teaching is they're the 4 intelligences of the fixed signs of the zodiac, right? The cardinal signs. So Leo here is fire in the south.
Oh yeah.
The Aquarius is air. Okay, we know it's the water bearer, but this is etheric, right? This is the element of air in the east. The bull is the element of earth or Taurus in the north. And up here is the eagle is raised Scorpio. So Scorpio has 2 aspects, right? The scorpion, which is the lower aspect. And when that scorpion is raised, that energy, of Scorpio is raised, it takes flight, becomes an eagle. So this is the element of water.
That's it.
And the figure in the blue, I know you've mentioned it before, but is I'm trying to see where the fifth element is in this key.
Ah, well, you just pointed to it, didn't you? Spirit, Akasha, right? Is self. The self in this key is shown at the top of the wheel, above it all. Now, it's interesting, you only see on the Sphinx, you see one hand or paw shown. Where's the other one?
Behind his back.
It seems to descend behind the wheel, doesn't it? If you look here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, cool.
Right? So you just ponder that this week in your core practice about where the other hand of the Sphinx is. You know, on the cube, this is the Western face and the world of appearances, right? It's all we perceive with our senses, and as we look in what we call the outer reality. But we look deeper. We want to see what's behind the imagery and the curtains.
I have a question.
Sure.
So I'm pretty sure that this card is in the Book of Revelations, and I didn't know if anybody like has any insight to that. I don't know if anybody knows anything about that.
Well, I know the key is frequently associated with the visions of Ezekiel and the wheels and the spiraling wheels, and within wheels and the fiery uh, chariot. No, that as far as Revelation, I haven't contemplated that association personally, but it might be an interesting one for
Yeah.
you to research and get back with us.
The only thing I can come up with is, and I don't really know because, but is that because in the past when I've looked at or read passages from the Book of Revelations, I'll be like, oh, there's that tarot card, and there's that tarot
Right,
card,
right.
and I say to myself, well, these are stages of awakening, right? So that's got to
Yes.
be what's behind the whole
Interesting.
meaning of it, you know. So
Interesting. Yes, absolutely.
I just didn't know
Yes.
if anybody else had any insight on that. I'm just wondering.
Okay. Good. Good. Does anyone know what interior star this is associated with? You know, they call them the chakras in the East. Does anyone know in the Western tradition what
I do.
which? Yeah.
It's the
Go.
Jupiter plexus.
That is correct. Thank you, Richard.
Yes,
It
sir.
is the solar plexus, right? It's right above the navel and below the heart in the inner bodies. It's very close to when you push your abdomen out with deep inhalation, like an abdominal breath. It's in that area. It's what is sometimes called the Hara center, the wheel, or the center of power and will.
So not the solar plexus or just below it?
It is the solar plexus.
It is. Okay.
Yes.
Is that not
You're
where
thinking
you
of
would?
the heart center, but we're talking about two different things. Okay.
Okay.
I
Not to
called it
overcome.
the Jupiter.
Yes,
Sorry,
it is the Jupiter
sorry,
center
sir.
in the center of your abdomen,
Sorry. Yeah.
roughly. The expansiveness, right? When you take a deep breath and expand your abdomen out, right? You pull your diaphragm down and your abdomen just pulls out. Right in that center. Anyone else before we move forward? Okay. All right. So we're going to move forwards now. So this week, I want you to, as you work with this key, I want you to think about the Trinity that you see on the wheel here. And remind yourself to feel what it feels like to be at the center of this wheel. How do you do this? You do this by doing it. You don't intellectualize it. You just say and will and intend yourself to be at the center of this wheel. The self will bring you here. This is where you are. And as you go about your days and nights, think about these three images: the blue sphinx above, the yellow serpent descending, and the red anubis ascending. Notice your pure awareness. Notice your thoughts and notice actions. Awareness, thoughts, and actions, just be aware of them as one reality in three distinct states. Now, you're not going to do anything with this, but notice it. Just become aware of this trinity in your day-to-day, your awareness, your thoughts, and actions. Three qualities of the one. In this key, the self is the observer self of all, at the scene at the top, as the sphinx. The serpent is the life power put into vibratory motion by the mind, the self. Now, this affects the animal desire nature that is seen rising from the below the wheel back to the above on the periphery as anubis. Now, the fiery passions of the animal nature are always evolving back towards the point of the realization of the one. When the self is truly remembered, one realizes one has never left the self. One is then awakened from identifying with the creation. And then one is free to choose to re-enter the lower vibratory dimensions of life or not. We spoke about how one hand seems to be behind things. Ponder on that this week. Ask this key to reveal to you what it is the self wishes to reveal to you. Everything about this key points to the raising of the animal consciousness. Everything. Now, it's said in the tradition that a key to mastery is the reconciliation of perceived opposites. This key, following justice on the path of return, shows all the various aspects of self within its own creation. And we see cycles within cycles. Christina brought up an excellent point of these patterns. People will just keep repeating the patterns and the patterns and the patterns. Once we grasp the patterns as patterns, then we actually have a choice to make a different choice or make a different pattern. Until then, we're just kind of unconsciously going through the motions and the cycles. In the East, they call this the wheel of samsara, right? It's just the cycles of creation and identifying with the creation itself. Waking up is becoming more aware that we are at the source of our being, one with that which is creating all things. So, on the most practical matter, in this key again, focus on the center of the key. This will bring and instruct your own subconscious to bring you back to your core center, and then perceive the world from there. Most people kind of perceive the world like they're behind their eyes, or they're up here at the mind's eye level, and that's kind of where they perceive a sense of self. But that's not. That's like, it's just not. What the self is much deeper, much deeper. This points us to it. Notice everything around the wheel, all the appearances seem to revolve around the center. So keeping our awareness at the center of this key brings us closer and closer to self. As Richard brought up in the Western tradition, this is the Jupiter center. It's the Hara center, right? It's right in the center of your abdomen when you take a deep breath and hold it and feel it. The more you let go, the more solid this vibratory presence becomes. It becomes more perceivable. Jupiter is the great benefactor in creation, and its intelligence is expansive. It's always balancing the Saturn restrictive aspect of creation. As we spoke about, the four animals are lion, the Leo of fire. This is the south, where the sun is at its highest. The man is air, the sign of Aquarius to the east. The darkest place is the north. This is the element of earth, Taurus, the bull. And in the west, we have the element of water, which here is raised Scorpio. So again, you're seeing the animal nature vibratory reality being raised.
I have a question.
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
It's keeps coming to my mind because I keep looking at the center of that, and with my eyes not focused, just spread space. Yep. And I'm seeing a rose, like the the rose on the Rosicrucian, it's like so. And then I just looked it up, the imagery, and it reminds me of this. I don't know why. I don't know if that there is a connection to that.
Could be.
But okay. Because I'm like literally seeing that.
That's
petal,
wonderful,
like,
Starlet. Yes. Yep. Perfect. Yes. Absolutely. Okay. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. So contemplate that too, right? And you might want to contemplate where the letter Kaph is on the rose.
Okay.
All right. Who remembers the transliteration for the tetragrammaton, the Yod He Vav He? Okay, the Yod He Vav He, right?
Or something, all that ever was, or is, or will be.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Yep. So what a powerful name or formula, right? Or creator. Yes, all that was, all that is, and all that ever will be. Now, isn't it interesting how it reads identically clockwise and counterclockwise on the wheel? Again, meditation on this key will bring you to your core. On the tree of life, this path, in our tradition, connects the sphere of desire, or Venus, to memory on the simple tree, or mercy, the sphere of Jupiter, the benefactor. Specifically, within you, this is Venus and Jupiter that this key connects. Okay. So, the Master, as a living blessing, said, "Seek and you will find. Ask and you will receive. Knock and the door will open for you." It's an honor to have you all here. Thank you for your light and presence. This concludes our outer class on the 21st path of Kaph, the grasping hand. The floor is now open for any questions or comments.